This is the High Desert Luthiery podcast with luthier Sarrett Williams of SEDD Guitars.
The thing about that guitar, the freaking volume knob is too close to the pickup. And I got a smaller one, like a super mini one that I put on, and I still hit it when I strum it. So I don't play that guitar that much. And so when I started making my own, that's one of the things I looked at, like the volume knob shouldn't be close to the pickup.
So now on to today's show. Joining me today is my good friend Sarrett, also known as SEDD Guitars. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's right.
All right. And I know you do a bunch of different things, and we'll get into that. I'm going to read something from the good book. All right. Welcome to the High Desert Luthiery podcast. I'm Perry from Ormsby Guitars, right here, and the creator of the High Desert Luthiery Invitational, or HDLI for short. The show takes place twice a year and is a celebration of luthiers, luthier-adjacent creators, musicians, and the art that comes from putting all these guys together. The HDLI is a unique event that encourages actual support in the music community by providing free booths to the vendors and free admission to the public. We want to give everyone a shot. The event includes vendors and musicians that are curated by me to create a cohesive, organized event. The HDLI encourages community and collaboration amongst the artists involved. This podcast is one way to help us all get to know one another. To learn more about the show and the artists, please visit the website, highdesertluthiery.com. So go ahead and introduce yourself and your brand or your brands, and let's start there.
My name is Sarrett Williams. I'm into death metal mainly, and heavy metal second. I make solid body electric guitars. I do leather work, and there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if you have enough time to list it all.
Do it. Go for it, man. We're here for you.
Guitar picks, shoes, wallet chains. What else? All sorts of stuff, man. I have a lot of different hobbies, but my favorite is actually playing the guitar. And longboarding too.
Okay. Have you ever made any longboards?
No, because you have to have a press.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, press all the layers together.
Yeah.
I saw one where you could, some dude made one on YouTube, like a homemade one.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out pretty good because he's got like a business doing it.
Dope.
That's too much extra stuff, man.
Yeah, no kidding, right? The more hobbies you have, the more stuff you've got, the less room you've got to work with. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about knowing you and being friends is getting to see all of the different things that you do and how well you do them. And when we started talking about getting you like back on track with building and and also participating in the show, I was just like, oh shit, what's Sarrett gonna bring? Like, this is gonna be great. Yeah, so solid body electric guitars. We all kind of have a flavor. At Unga Guitars, I have many flavors.
All of them are perfect too, man.
Yeah, they're. Thank you. I'll usually kind of shy away from compliments and stuff, and my therapist says it's helpful to say thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. So tell me about your solid body. So, I have inside information knowing you, but 8 strings. How did you get into it?
Well, when I first started playing, I was mainly, of course, 6-string guitars. And then it got kind of boring. And then I saw Korn. Well, not Korn, but Steve Vai first. He was a big influence.
Okay.
So I was learning one of his songs by ear, right? And I couldn't figure out notes. I was like, well, what the heck's going on? Couldn't figure out the note at all. Then I found a magazine and seeing he had the Ibanez Universe 7 strings. I was like, oh, that's what's going on. So the top string was a B. And at the time I was learning on my own, so I didn't know anything. I thought it was E. I was all over the fretboard trying to find the note. Then when I read that magazine, I was like, so he's got a 7 string. That's what got me into sevens. Okay, so I got used to those. And then I was like, an 8 string guitar. The way I found out about those is from Stephen Carpenter from the Deftones. He started playing 8. I was like, well, let me get one. That's how I got into 8 strings. It took me a while to find one that I thought was good. The best one I found so far is by ESP, the Stephen Carpenter, because the neck's not wide, the string spacing is perfect, and the neck is it's not fat. It's like perfect. You know, it's not too thin or too fat. I've tried like Ibanez, Ibanez, Schecter, a few other ones, even a one brand. What is it called? Dude, we talked about it one time from Rondo Music.
I'm drawing a blank on
Yeah,
8-string guitars, but they're even now there's still not a lot of mainstream companies, getting in on the action, and it's really only like probably 3 companies that come to mind. I find like what's so interesting about the extended range stuff is how, like, I feel like 6-string guitars are really really you can kind of guess what it's going to be,
yeah,
like it's probably going to be a super strat, probably 25.5-inch scale, probably 24 frets, something very rarely is it not.
yeah.
um And, relating to your Steve Vai story, before I forget, what song were you trying to learn?
I think it was For the Love of God, or I Would Love to. I think that's what it was.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the first time I realized he was playing a 7 was on Bad Horsey.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, dude, and like I could learn a lot of stuff by ear, and I couldn't get the notes. So I was like, "What's going on?" And then, like I said, I came across the magazine, and I was like, "That's what it is." Okay, so I
Yeah.
got one. And I tried all these different brands, probably like 6 different brands, and the best one so far to me has been the ESP Stephen Carpenter.
Mhm.
I got like 4 of his signature guitars, and
Oh,
then
wow.
yeah, then I have this one Ibanez 8 string. The only thing I don't like about that one is it has the string spacing is wider. So the fretboard, I mean, my hands are huge, but the fretboard is wider, not as comfortable as the Carpenter that I'm used to. But they made an iron label neck through that they don't even make anymore. Like Ibanez doesn't really make any neck through guitars. And actually, I have it right here just to show this one here. It's a sapphire blue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, it's like neck through,
Yep.
and it's an 8 string, which Ibanez doesn't really make too many eights that are neck through. Yeah, this was one of the first ones I had, and the feel of the neck is cool, but the thing about that guitar, the freaking volume knob is too close to the pickup. So when
Uh,
you're strumming, you hit the volume knob, and I got a smaller one, like a super mini one that I put on, and I still hit it when I strum it. So I don't play that guitar that much. And so when I started making my own, that's one of the things I looked at. Like the volume knob shouldn't be close to the pickup because
yeah.
it's uncomfortable when you're playing and you hit it on your pinky.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, sharing about what inspired you, to start playing, because usually that's the first thing. So having all these guitars and realizing that you gravitate towards neck shapes, thicknesses, you're noticing nuance. What things did you decide to change with the instruments that you're making?
let me show you here. Is it just like I said with this volume knob? Let me just see if I can show you a photo here. Okay, look at the. I don't know if you can see the knob in the pickup.
Yeah.
See how close it is, and then when you're playing, freaking pinky's right there. So I figured that the knob, if it has one, should be down here where this toggle switch is.
Oh, okay.
That way you don't have anything to worry about when you're strumming. And this is in the way here, the 5-way selector. So that's one of the things I wanted to address was the layout of the knobs. For me and a lot of players that I know back home, they don't like the stuff close to the where your picking hand is. And that's not that far away where you can zip down here and turn it down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was one of the things. And also this part here too, where the
Okay.
so like what I think, me personally, is like the neck shape to me should be the same all the way down. So like if you're more comfortable playing at the lower end,
Uh-huh.
because I know a lot of friends are more comfortable here with the thickness of the neck.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think it should be the same all the way. All
Oh, okay.
yeah, like all the way to here to the last fret. Like this to me should be carved out a little bit lower.
Oh, okay. So sculpted even more, and just because I gotta know what thickness are you going with?
This, man, maybe a little less than an inch.
Oh, wow. So pretty thick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, let's see here. Hmm. You got me. I have to look that one up, dude.
No problem. I just I sort of recall all the numbers that I use in my shop just from a lot of repetition, a lot of practice, and whenever I get the opportunity, I'll ask somebody, and it's fun to kind of be aware of these things as well. But no problem there. So, what about the neck width? What did you end up doing? And I feel like these are very important things to talk about because I don't know. Up until I made one, I never got to play an 8. I had people, talk about them. I had seen them in that I was working, doing repair for multiple music stores, but kind of being all business all the time. I didn't really take the time. I think the first 8-string guitar that I actually came across was it was actually it was an acoustic fan fret 8 that this builder that I know of in Santa Cruz, Jeff Trowgut, spent some time at the Santa Cruz guitar shop. And then he's sort of a legendary acoustic guitar maker. He made this guitar for Charlie Hunter, so he was playing jazz, funk, R&B on this 8-string, and it was kind of a half bass, half guitar thing, and it was tuned crazy, and it had fan frets, and I'd never seen anything like it. And Jeff brought it by the shop. I guess like he lost power in his shop or something, and he needed to buff it out so he could take it to Charlie that night. So he stopped by the Santa Cruz shop to borrow the buffers and then let us play it. And it was super cool. It was just like so unique. But that was sort of my introduction to 8 strings. And then I met a couple players that I started working for and doing a lot of the extended range stuff. So like neck size is so important because people think like this is going to be totally huge, unreal, and this is going to be really heavy. So we'll start with like the width of the neck. Did you decide to go with the narrower width?
Yeah, narrower, where it's like, of course it's going to be wider than a 6-string, no matter what the neck width. But coming from me playing 6s to start off and then going to an 8, I wanted to make sure it would be comfortable for anyone. Because
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, because a lot of people, even some of my friends back home, are kind of like, oh, I don't know, man. The 8-string may be too wide for my hands. And I'll give them a reference. Sarah Longfield is like 4 foot whatever, hands are only this big, and she plays one. That's how I got my buddy into one. He was like, "Oh man, it's not that bad," because he actually got a Stephen Carpenter one. He got it about 6 months ago, One thing weird about Carpenter's guitars are the pickups placings. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Does he still do the two that are like bridge and middle?
Yeah, right. Exactly, man.
I
Right in the
always thought
middle.
that was so sharp.
It's cool. Yeah, but some people, like my friend, he didn't. He had to get used to it because he said when he would pick, that his pick would hit the pickups.
Uh.
Like, dude, how far down are you digging into the strings when you're playing? You know what I mean? I was saying. I told him I was like, well, as far from what I've noticed with 8-string guitars, because I've played like a bunch of brands, and that one I was thinking of is this. This is just for reference. The Agile, that's it. They make one that's like neck's not too bad, man, but it's just a little bit too wide. And I wanted to go thinner than that, like a 52 millimeter nut width. Let's see, I think that's what it is. Mine are basically like just shy of a little wider than a 7, but comfortable as a 6-string.
Right on, right on. So,
Yep,
what kind of bridge are you using on
hip
your builds?
hip shot.
Okay, and are you doing multi-scale or one scale?
I have one that's one scale and then the multi scale. The fan's not that big, so it's not like see, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I have a couple multi-scale guitars, and I noticed like show you again. Watch this. Here's a Jackson right here, right? This
Yeah,
is this is an 8-string Jackson. Okay, so when you're barring here on the first fret, so your fingers can be over the nut.
yeah,
My opinion, I think the fan is too much. So my fan is like minimal, even though it's 2 different scales, right? Like 20, what is it? It's like less than I think it's like an inch difference or so. But
okay,
like with mine, that's one thing I wanted to address with the multi-scale. Like this guitar has a nice neck, but when you're playing low up here and the nut here is sharp, it has a sharp edge. And I don't think you should have to feel the nut when you're playing the first fret. So I made my fan a little less pronounced so that doesn't happen.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then where's another one? See here with the layout of the pickup or the knobs, toggle switch and volume. To me, that's still a little bit close. I don't know if you can see.
okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So like mine are still moved out of the way. And then if someone is like, "Oh, that's a long way to reach," like, dude, that's not even 2 finger. You know what I mean? It's like just
Yeah, totally get it. Totally get it. Right on. So let's just keep going with the build talk. What did you decide to use for materials?
okay. Use mostly with a neck, maple, and then fretboards. I have some maple for that, and I want to try like different woods on the fretboards because I think the grain patterns are pretty when you
Yeah.
get different varieties. But I have to make sure that they're suitable for a fretboard. You know what I mean? Because I think a maple neck that'll work no matter what, and you can paint it or stain it, depending on what you want to do with it, the look of the guitar. But mainly maple necks and the fretboards, mostly exotic woods.
Right on. And are you doing anything with the woods you're using for the bodies to get accentuate certain sounds, tones, or are you just kind of using whatever you want?
That's a hard question because, like, when it comes to playing the guitar, like, to me, I've got like probably 15 to 20 guitars on my own that I play. They're different woods. I can make them all sound good depending on whatever tone I want when I adjust the stuff on my amp. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like, when it comes to the wood, I just think for whatever I want to use that's suitable for a guitar. Of course, not anything. Well, I've seen guitars made out of crayons glued together, and colored pencils, plexiglass.
Yep.
So I just think it's basically okay. For example, if I wanted to paint the guitar like a solid color black, of course I'm not going to use any. Well, there I can't say that again because I've seen guitars made out of everything. I just use whatever, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we were talking about this at over at Albuquerque Exotic Woods, and that's kind of my philosophy as well. I use whatever the hell I want to. Um and most of the time, since I've been here in Albuquerque, I'm building sort of for myself out of crazy ideas I have, and or I find a piece of wood that I can't leave the store without, and it'll either be a certain size or I'll just see it and know I want to make this out of it, and that's kind of how I go about picking wood. And but if it's for somebody else and they're trying to achieve a sound or something, then I can definitely fall back on experience points for that, to pick proper, or I should say, not proper, but the most efficient materials to get the job done. The easiest. Although, I mean, gear's come such a long way, and you can just stack preamp on preamp on preamp to get whatever you need now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, man. Because I have like I'm a gear however they said a gear.
A
What?
gearhead?
Yeah, I have tons of stuff, man. Pedals, amps, and that's what I was saying. Like when it comes to the tone of the guitar, I can get whatever I want from my amps. They'll do the job, no matter what the wood is. You know what I mean? Because I even have a couple of little practice guitars I take around if I go out of town. Like, you ever seen the little small Jacksons?
Long time ago, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that's cool.
Here's one here. Just to go off of the story what we're talking about, like this guitar isn't even like I'll take this like if we go out of town, this little Jackson. I don't feel like carrying a lot of stuff, like just to practice scales and stuff. And this guitar is probably like under 200 or right at 200. And they're not using like, as they say, the top quality woods. But when I plug it up and adjust the tone, it sounds just like you couldn't tell. Like, say if I recorded a riff, there's no way they're going to tell it was this guitar.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's no way to say, oh, they used mahogany for the body, and they should have used ash or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when it comes to a lot of metal guitar tones, there's so much gain stacking going on too that it's really difficult to discern more than just like the pickup. And some of us who have had a lot of experience with different amps can kind of guess what amp is being played. But so many players are doing so much gain staging now with different pedals, and then altering things with their computers, that it's getting harder and harder to tell unless you know who you're listening to. And so I feel like it's very liberating. I used to be really frustrated with it because I'm not a metal musician, although I love metal. I love all sorts of different types of music, and I was just listening to some really cool local stuff earlier today, and I was just going like, "Whoa, where did these guys come from?" And tonally, like, there's so many musicians that are doing their own thing, like recording everything themselves, playing everything themselves, and when you're introduced to new tones, especially high gain tones, and you realize how versatile they are. Or like you get a high gain amp and then you realize, holy shit, this thing can really kick clean tones out
Oh,
with monster headroom. Like one of my favorite heavy amps is a Soldano SLO. It's kind of like my unicorn amp. Like I want one so bad, even though like when the hell would I use it? You
yeah.
know?
And then I heard that, speaking of that, I think that dude, isn't it Mike Soldano or something
Yeah.
like that? I think I saw a clip, I think he's back. Like, I didn't know if they were gone or not, but I saw a clip where they said he's starting to build them again or something
I
like
thought
that.
so. I thought that was going to happen. I think like maybe a couple years ago, he essentially sold the name to I think it's called like the Premier Builders Guild or something like that. And it's this shop. It's probably had a couple different names, but I've had a few friends pass through there. And I remember hiring a guy at the Santa Cruz shop that was telling us about that shop, and they build like a bunch of labels. They do like ghost building essentially,
Yep.
and they build a few different labels of like well-known stuff. I can't remember off the top of my head what they were doing the last time I heard about them, but I know that they took over his builds, and like everything, he's not going to stop. He's going to get some better idea or some new idea, and he's going to keep on going.
It's like with what's his name, Dean Zelinsky or something.
Oh yeah.
He did something similar.
Yep.
Sold the brand, then came back with what was it, DBZ.
Hmm.
I don't know if that didn't work out, but then he's back. Last I heard was Dean Zelinsky Guitars or something.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff on the socials about that, and it's kind of cool to see how he keeps showing up. And he's got cool designs, and he's a legend in the industry at this point. Another guy that did that is Ken Parker, Parker Guitars. He sold the rights off probably decades ago now, and now he's making arch tops under Ken Parker Guitars, and he's got a similar headstock still, and really unorthodox designs, and another legend in the industry, one of my favorite builders. And I love seeing these guys create these brands, get a good payday, and then still, still stay in the shop doing what they love. Like it's, I told a few guys at the last show, I couldn't stop doing this. Like, the past few years, I haven't had a whole lot of business as much as I did in California, but it didn't stop me. Like, injuries keep trying to stop me. And, fortunately, the wood shop is a great place to PT, man, to get that physical therapy in, to get back on my feet.
Are you doing better? Speaking of that,
Yeah, yeah. I go back to work tomorrow, and I think I got about maybe almost 3 hours in on my feet today,
that's
and it's always a trip when you hurt a leg, getting back onto it with confidence, and getting back to being reckless.
yeah,
Um,
you do.
yeah, and I tell people like I still have all of these, and I got hurt in the weirdest way in the wood shop, and it had nothing to do with anything we were in control of. A dolly broke, and I paid the price, and honestly, we were lucky it was me, and because everyone else has hardware in their legs from past
Oh,
injuries,
man.
and it would have been super complicated that way. And but you can get hurt in weird ways. This was the first time that I've been hurt in the shop in 25 plus years, and I was just like it kind of messed with me a little bit, and I just talked it out with my coworkers and my therapist, and
Glad you're okay after that. How did the dolly break? Like, what happened?
one of the wheels broke on it. We were moving big slabs all day, and it just decided it was tired, and it happens. We see stuff like on the bandsaw when a blade breaks, and so these sort of things happen, and you never know when they're going to happen. You just hope that you're crispy enough to take action, and that slab was so big it didn't matter. Like, I was holding on to it to move it, and when it fell, I had a good grip on it. I was wearing my good gloves, and it pulled on my shoulder, and even my shoulder's a little tweaked out. Um, and so it could have been a lot worse. And fortunately, I didn't break it. But these sort of things can happen, and I like to talk about it. It's a good thing to talk about so that when you're doing odd stuff, you're thinking like, oh yeah, I heard, homeboy over here, got hurt this way. Maybe I should try it this way. Maybe if I'm having that spidey sense go off, I should back off. Maybe I should call a homie for help, you know, and definitely, I'm going to be looking at things a lot different. And I like to talk about safety with builders because oftentimes we're in our shops alone.
Yeah, you're right.
Oftentimes no one's home, or it's late at night, and I tell people all the time, like, let your girlfriend, your partner, whatever the situation is, your roommate, let them know where you are, what you're doing, to check in on you, and keep your phone close by. Because even if you got to call 911, like, keep it close by. You never know what can happen, and you need to be prepared. We
That's
can replace anything,
mhm,
but we can't replace you.
right. Some of that equipment is super dangerous, man.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, getting back to you, we're not here for me. So your brand name, um, can you talk about it? I think it's really cool.
Mm. What do you
You
want to
want to?
know? What do you want to know?
Head guitars, like I want to know what, like, so my Unga guitars, I'm Unga, like that was it. My brother named me Unga as soon as he could talk, and so it's my nickname. And his dad put it on one of the first guitars that I was working on, and then he put it on every guitar after that until we found somebody to make decals, and essentially the font is based on his handwriting,
Oh,
and it's also based on another popular font. It just like it ended up, being super close to another popular font, but essentially, he would draw it on every headstock for me until we figured out we could get it cut out in decals. But you have a very unique name. It's not necessarily your name. And it's not like where you come from. Um, like tell me a little bit about it.
right. It's a secret. Okay, I have an uncle that passed away, right? Passed away a long time ago, but I don't have a nickname. He called me that one time,
Oh wow.
like years ago when I was in elementary school. So that's where it came from.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's cool. So have you been like sitting on that and just saving it for something?
yeah.
Yeah,
A long time, man.
yeah,
It was like, well, sometimes you have somebody that you're close to, like maybe a family member or friend. That was like my closest uncle. And then, like after he passed away, I was like, man, that dude was super cool. And then that's
yeah,
where, yeah, because he called me that like maybe a couple times. That was his, I guess you would say his nickname for me, but I don't have one. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I've heard he called me that maybe like two or three times, but I was in like elementary.
That's cool, man. Yeah, now every time I see that, I'm gonna get it a lot more because your imagery is also like on fucking point.
Yeah.
Pardon my language. Um, I love it. And so, do you do all the imagery?
Yeah. All
Yeah,
that, the drawing and stuff. I'm a big fan of aliens in space. So that's like that alien I came up with because it's like my own idea. Like he's a ruler of like all of this stuff out there and nobody messes with him. The top one, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I drew that out and then the name, like say if you see his like that's his crown he has on, the little red, that's actually his crown. And then I wanted to make the logo blend in with his look too. You know what I mean? Like traced in red.
yeah, yeah. I really like that idea. Like he's like the top dog,
Yeah.
and we were Ellison and I were sitting down and talking about some different things with with Unga Guitars, like reorganizing the website because we were fucking around with the website and like erased to homepage on accident, and that's like the most busy page, and we had to redo it, and then we were like, sweating for a while, and trying to kind of figure out how to undo this, and it just went way too far, and so it is what it is. These things happen. And we were talking about like how can we change up, different things, make it sort of easier to navigate, easier to understand, just faster, in general. And the idea of like this is the top dog, like for the if we were gonna do tiers, we were talking about like a sort of like an entry level price, you know, a mid level like options, right? And then what would be like the top level, and what would we call those levels? And most of my builds are named after animals.
I
Uh,
noticed.
yeah, yeah. I'm just an animal geek, and have a lot of animals around here in the house and whatnot. And um, one thing that came up though was like we pull from our culture now and then. So for the top tier, I was gonna call that the mas chingon tier, or like the fucking best, and
Yeah.
just to be playful and stuff like that. But like so I can see how your family this time was the inspiration for your name. Do you have what type, like, how many shapes are you building? Is it just one right now, or
Let's see. I have. I don't know if I showed you the latest one I have. I'll have to send you a photo. I don't know if I think it may be on the Instagram page, but it's sort of like like a swirly like thing,
okay.
like 4 points, the lower horn, the top, then the two backs. I don't know what. Well, I'm calling it Death One and Two because I've got like two. Yeah, Death One and Two. 'Cause the first one is like the I guess I would say like the more subtle. They're kind of close to the similar shapes, but the second one has like a different angle on the top. But that's Death One and Two. Then I have like a V, a full one, and then what's the one with the half point at the bottom? The Randy Rhodes type
Yeah,
one.
just like the offset V.
Yeah, offset. And then like a I don't want to say a destroyer, sort of like a destroyer, I guess that's what they call them, or Kelly sort of shape,
That's a cool shape.
like a Kelly. And then there's of course the like super strat one. Let me see that. One,
Wow,
I think there's like five, dude.
wow, that's cool, man.
The Death One and Two, so that's two. Then the like Kelly or Destroyer. Remember Hamer guitars,
Oh yeah.
like the Hamer Destroyer, or Ibanez will call it an Iceman, right? I guess. Yeah, and then the two V shapes. So six, I guess.
Wow, wow, good for you. And do you only have names for Deaths 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. I got a few names for you. I'll kick them down to you after we're done here.
All right.
We ended up changing names, and I had some hard names. I was like, "Oh, the metal guys are gonna love this," and we just kind of changed them to sort of fit the lineup a little better name wise, and be a little more sort of clear about like this is these are all animal names, and this is what this is, and so I ended up, putting those back on the list for later. And I was like, oh, I'll pass them by to somebody who they might fit. But I think one of them will fit one of your builds really well, especially with that, with the character, the alien character being, like the top dog. I got a good name for you. Yeah. So, are you from Albuquerque originally?
No, sir. From
Where you-
lived in Las Vegas, Nevada when I was which doesn't count, like when I was first born. Then we moved to Clovis, New Mexico. Then Roswell for a little while. Then Seattle. Washington, and then back to Clovis. Then I came here. Still trying to figure that out. But some of the stuff I do on the side, some of that, like,
Yeah, let's get into that because one point of this show is like let's get to know one another, and there might be some of the builders involved with the show that are doing this full time, but not all of us do. And I feel like this is something that's often left out, and some people kind of shy away from talking about it. But there's so many different walks that are attracted to making instruments, to playing instruments. And it's always surprising, it's like, oh, wow. And I was talking with a builder, a really experienced builder, one of my favorite bass makers. He's been in the industry since like at least the early 90s. He just retired from his full-time job, and he's now, for the first time, like if he was in business in 89, 91, somewhere around there, this is the first time ever that he's building in his shop full-time.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, right. But it's like, whoa, bro, I thought like you were, like the top dog, the mas chingon, like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. This really puts things in perspective. Like, it's sort of like that. He's got hustle. And I was trying to get him to come out for this next show. And it's his first year as a full-time luthier. And, as much experience as he has. And this really, it really inspired me. And, like it was one of those things where it was like, oh, I'm not the only one that feels like this. He doesn't want to mess it up. Um, and he's like, as much as I want to do the show and I appreciate you inviting me, I don't want to mess this up, let's do it next year. And I'm totally cool with that, totally cool with that. So tell us a bit about what you do for work, because I know that there's a few different things. And, I do a few different things, and there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Well, I do my own stuff, like where I go and order different products for different companies, like some of the big ones in the country, like say Pilot Truck Stops and Love's Truck Stops, not the grocery store. And then sometimes like Walgreens and Targets come up, like a have my own thing where I do supply them with different things that they don't get money for until it sells. You know what I mean? They don't have to pay for it until it sells.
That's interesting.
And then on the side of that, if it comes up some acting, which me and you've talked about before,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That
Yeah, and it's cool to see you in commercials or even spot you in movies too. And going back and rewatching stuff, going, "Oh, there he is!"
uh,
Yeah,
and
honey, I
then,
know that guy.
yeah, and then mainly stuff like that, dude. And then like the guitar building and all the other stuff on the side, which would be cool to be able to do it full time, but I need to promote the stuff more. I think I've told you before when you were chatting that I have like a Pinterest page that has anywhere from 35,000 to 600,000 people a month looking at my stuff, which
Wow.
we're using to promote. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. We're gonna interview the marketing guy that's helping us put all this together, and he's also a musician, local musician. It'll be really nice to hear, the tips and tricks that he uses to get people sort of on the map, like number one is you got to be able to do something, to promote it. And then number two is how do you find the market, that's going to be into what you're doing. And there's not one right or wrong way to do it. And I think that's what makes it so difficult, but like talking to this bass maker that I was talking to, back in the day, you just took out an ad in one of like two or three magazines, and you hope for the best.
Yeah.
And that was it. Maybe you took out ad in the newspaper locally or whatever, but like that was kind of it. And this is another thing that I learned from him, that I could totally relate to is even then though you didn't know, just like now, you don't know how effective, the social media ads are. your following. You have no way to know other than, are the bills getting paid, and is there food on the table, and it's like it's drastically different, but it's still the same. Still hustling for the same things, and I think it's really exciting to get these sort of new builders. Like, how long have you been building?
Oh man. Well, I started and then I stopped. And then I just started focusing on other things. Then I got back into it maybe like, shoot, maybe a year or so ago, a year and a half or something. Like there's just a lot of other stuff going on at the time where I couldn't focus on it too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like I moved into a new place, which made things different because the first place, when I first moved here, there wasn't much room in there because like when me and her got our place here, the landlord, which is weird, was using the garage as her second storage unit. And she put it in the lease like, you can't get rid of any of this stuff in here. So like the garage was like completely full, dude. And I was like scooting by this and that just to work on this, to sand. It was ridiculous, man. So I got tired of that and I was like, screw this, man. We'll wait till we get another place. Then we ended up buying a house. So it picked back up since then, Before that, the freaking place we had before, dude, it was weird, dude. Like, have you ever heard of that? The landlord
Oh
has,
yeah,
yeah, you know what? This half of this garage is for my stuff. Don't mess with it. Like,
I've
okay,
heard that in
yeah,
Santa Cruz, California. That's a thing, and I remember going over to like a few of my coworkers, at different times. Were like, "Hey, man, can you come over and help me with this build I'm doing?" And like, yeah, what do you need help with? Oh, just bring this and this, and I had a full shop then, and so I was like, yeah, sure, give me something to do over the weekend, and they're in a cramped garage that's full of their landlord's stuff every time. I was like, let's just go to my shop and do this. Come on, man. Or I got the keys. Like, let's go do this at the other shop. And it was just so bad, like that.
it was like trying to build inside of just say like a small bathroom.
Man, that's unfortunate. So now you got a bigger space,
Yeah.
and you're able to stretch out a little more. What inspires you in your designs? You've talked about, your love for eight strings. Are you building primarily eight-string guitars?
I have a 6 string and then a 7. Mostly like I want mine I'm making mine to be comfortable like all around from my experience playing. Like some guitars, the necks are too fat to me, like like playing a 2x4. And then like because I like to shred too. I like rhythm and shred. Like I play like a lot of freaking fast runs, arpeggios and stuff like that. And to me, certain necks aren't that great for doing it, even though I can do it on there. But I want mine to be more comfortable all around. Like the only complaint you may have is like you don't like the guitar, but who cares? There's 8 billion people on the planet. Somebody else is gonna like it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care if you don't like my designs. I didn't make it for you. I made it for the person that does like it.
Yep, exactly. It's so exciting to hear you say that because it took me a long time to get there. Took me a really long time to get there. I would say that we were, out here when I kind of figured that out. I feel like if you can't have that mentality or you don't have it yet, it can be a real depressing ride, man.
Right, dude. Because like if you let someone's opinion affect
Your art.
your art, exactly. Like this is art we're doing, and if somebody can come in and ruin it for you because they don't like it or they talk bad about it, like for example, 330 million people in the U.S. I don't like freaking country music, but look how many artists sell out. That doesn't affect them because I don't like it. I'm the same way. You don't like my guitar designs or guitars, so what? Find something you do like because I know someone else likes my work. You know what I mean? Who cares?
Yeah, yeah, that's very reassuring. So, like, as a new builder, where do you see yourself, or where do you hope to be in 2 years?
2 years from now, I hope to be where people are looking for, where I have a waiting list. Like, oh, I'll get your guitar in 4 months from now. That would be cool because, like, I'm into metal, dude, and that's what I build for, metal players. I may throw a couple in there for, different genres, but right now I'm making stuff that I wish I could have got when I started playing. You know what I mean? Like all the freaking things, design, what I would call design flaws because the volume knob's too close to the pickup. Move it out of the way or don't even have one. Like I like guitars with only one pickup too, no knobs at all. I'm gonna build one for myself. One freaking pickup, no knobs at all. You just plug it in and play.
I had one that I made for myself that has no controls on it. It's by far my favorite guitar. To have no controls, you think like, oh, it can only do one thing, and it really forces you to become a better player and listen and have dynamics and be able to play soft, be able to play loud because you got to move with the band. I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah. You know what I would like to do too is acoustic guitars, man. That would be cool.
Oh yeah.
So I play a lot of acoustic too.
That's pretty awesome, and I wouldn't ever associate, metal with acoustic guitar, but it doesn't mean as a builder that you can't do it or you don't wanna do it. But, I'm getting ready to, get back into making acoustic instruments and, hearing from builders that are gonna be in this next show, that they're gonna start doing some acoustics. I'm like, "Oh, wow." So everybody's thinking along the same lines. That's really cool, but to have a wait list, somehow that idea has eluded me over the years, and I was just interviewing a very good friend of mine yesterday, and he brought that up. And he said something that really got me thinking. Like he said, I don't want to make custom builds. Like I'm not trying to like get somebody's idea out for them.
Your friend has the same idea as me because that's the same way I think. Like I've got, just say for example, 5 designs. That's what you're gonna get. Custom part you can get is maybe like a different paint color, but I don't want to be like where someone sends me their plans and here, can you make this one for me? No, what you see is what you get, dude. If you don't like it, then somebody else would take it.
Yeah, and like what really got me thinking about it is, well, that's kind of how I'm operating right now, but I'm not shooting for that. I'm not dialed in towards that wait list. And it just really got my gears turning. How could I change what I'm doing to do that? And it also reminded me of like all of the what would you call them? Like messy situations I got into with builds, taking on custom stuff like that, for the sake of money, or, it was for a friend and I didn't want to let them down, or I just wasn't into it. But, whatever the case was, um, like, I don't want to find myself in those situations anymore, unless it's my doing, right? Like, I had this crazy idea I couldn't figure out, and it just takes a while.
That makes sense, dude. Like if you don't want to do it, like I guess like I don't know how to explain, but like say if your website, once you revamp it or whatever you were talking about, just put on there. This is like no custom builds. Like we're artists. This is what we're putting out. Somebody's gonna like it no matter what.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you know what? Make sure that as you're working on a website for yourself, make sure to put that on there. That's a very big thing that we're trying to drive home, with the whole High Desert Luthiery thing. It's all over the website. It's in and out of the blogs that I'm doing. And it's all about sort of changing the way that the general music culture looks at guitars. We are artists. We have feelings, and
Exactly.
Like if we can change how we look at things, to be more of an accepting or coming from an accepting place, like it's going to really change the culture. It'll change our relationships with the musicians we work with, and just open up a lot more avenues for that. And speaking of musicians, are there any musicians that you would love to build something for?
Oh, well, one of my friends wants me to make him a guitar. You may have heard of him. He's a pretty popular musician. He used to be with Dean Guitars. Then he was with Ormsby Guitars. Now it's a secret who he's going with, but his name is Rusty Cooley.
Oh,
He,
cool.
have you ever heard of him?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
me and
How do you
him.
know him?
Oh, I used to go jam with him in Houston like once a month when I lived in Clovis. It was like a 12-hour drive. But I freaking started, okay, like a long time ago, I wanted to learn how to do sweeps and stuff better, arpeggios. I got them all right on my own. And then one of my friends was in a band called All Shall Perish, and I don't know what happened to him. His name is Chris Story. He disappeared, and his big influence was Rusty. And Rusty was like advertising doing guitar lessons. I emailed him, and then me and him started texting each other. So I went up there, had a couple of lessons. I went over there twice, and that's all I took, dude. And then me and him became friends ever since. That was about freaking 12 years ago. And now,
Wow.
yeah, so like I sent him one of my designs, and he's like, that's freaking awesome. Let me see it when you're done. See, like, that's what I mean, like how you can network. Like, he puts on a show. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but with John Petrucci, Tosin Abasi, Zach Wild, and Jason Richardson, some guitar clinic that John Petrucci has, like in the East Coast somewhere. You can look it up, dude. I don't remember the name offhand, but like, say, I can give one to Rusty, and then who knows where it can go from there.
Yeah.
My guitar picks, he's already using a couple of them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I made him a couple of green ones. He's
Nice.
like, this is the fastest pick I've ever used. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. Now, like a fast guitar pick, like really?
You never know, everyone experiences everything differently.
And like I was saying, that dude's been shredding for
Ever.
almost 60 now. So, he's like one of the fastest shredders out there. But that's how I became friends with him. We just talked a lot and back and forth all the time, call or whatever. And like I said, it's been over, I'd say at least 12 or 13 years now.
Yeah, that's a tremendous goal. And there's a player that's played just about everything out there that's fast, right? And he's going to be able to discern a lot more than other people might. And give you some different feedback, definitely, of his own, just like he had some feedback about your pick. And it's amazing to have those opportunities and those sort of people in your life, for sure. And I think that's a tremendous goal.
Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking too. Like I brought up Ormsby Guitars. I'm sure you've heard of
Oh yeah.
them. Like, how did that dude get so big?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in Australia, there's not necessarily a whole lot of other builders doing that, and he had a vision, and Perry put he's Perry as well, and
Yeah.
he put his nose down and kept at it, and I remember messaging with him. Gosh, it was before he was known, like on Facebook, and I was making some Blackmachine style builds,
Yeah.
and I got on his radar, and we would message each other, regularly for a while, just about like different things about the builds and stuff like that. And it was kind of cool to have that, and then see him get so big. I
Yeah.
I I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now.
Yeah, I
And
know.
in hindsight, like I'm just grinding, working, not really paying attention to how cool these opportunities are. And, now I see that I'm like, oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, if you were in contact with that guy, and then now he's like, because Dino from Fear Factory, I'm sure you know who they are. He's got a signature guitar with him, even though he played Ibanez guitars forever. And then Ibanez came out with like a limited edition Dino model. I think it was only like they made like say a few hundred, and that was it. And then they didn't have them like for sale on their website anymore. It's like they made 200, for example, and that was it for him. So he ended up going to Ormsby Guitars, where he has an actual, how do you say, like always in stock signature model. And then Rusty was with Ormsby, and he left them for whatever reason. He said his guitar neck was see like his guitar neck was a consistent diameter all the way down. And that's one of the ideas me and him would talk about, like, you know, how some necks from the first fret to the 12th or whatever, it gets thicker.
Yeah, they taper.
Yeah, taper. To me, I think it should be the same all the way to the end. Like I was saying, you get more comfortable in certain areas on the neck, to me, like as far as shredding goes. So I want it to be the same the whole way down.
Yeah, there was an old bass company, Wall Bass. They were known for that, and then I think it was also the same width at the nut as it was at the bridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I always thought that was so interesting, and I never came across one in all my years doing repair. Never came across one, but it's such an interesting concept. And there's plenty of necks out there that are like that. I just made a few of them, and they're a little on the heavy side. And I'm not picky. And whenever builders come to me or players come to me, whether I'm doing repair or just kind of consulting, I'll listen to things, and be like, hey, that sounds like a cool idea. And sometimes I'll do something similar. And I was making necks. I've been making a bunch of necks for different people. And one of the guys wanted me to copy this, I think it was like a SRV neck off of a Strat, and it was the same thickness all the way through. And I was like, oh wow, that's cool, and it felt really good. And I was like, I'm gonna try that.
You know that one guitar brand? Dang, the one with no headstocks.
So many of them now. Is it
Steinberger?
Yeah, that company. What about that neck? Have you ever seen one of those that
Yeah,
endure something like that?
yeah. They're pretty small. Like they're small in width, and they're a little heavy in the thickness. And I'm pretty sure it was the same thickness all the way through. It was very interesting.
Yeah, because from what I've seen, you know who Tosin Abasi is, of
Oh
course.
yeah.
His brand of guitars, like his necks. I haven't ever played one, but I read where his necks on the back have like a different like carve. And then that one brand you talked about, when I looked at the image of the neck, it's like kind of tapered, like there was like a carve.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I forget how they describe it, but I mean, there's been plenty of companies doing odd stuff like that. You've seen some of my weird neck carves, and I just kind of realized like some people are thinking about ergonomics. So like the whole headless guitar movement was sort of out of ergonomics. How to make it lighter, how to make it easier to carry on a plane, and then just a new idea, and how to make it out of different materials, right? Like there's always people doing that. I had a friend of mine very recently asked me, are you doing any headless builds? Because I really want like your bass, this certain model in headless. Like I think it would look so good. And I said, oh, I'm not doing that. And he's like, why not? And I was like, it's not for me. Like I'm not into that look. I don't the feel. That's where I was getting. They feel so foreign to me.
I don't like headless guitars. I've never been into them, but I see a few people that do. But
Personally, I don't care for the lack of moving parts, or maybe the excess moving parts. I don't know. Like there's something that feels so foreign to me. But I think if I found the right hardware, I'd probably figure out a way to do it. Design something, and make it work just to use the hardware. Because sometimes I operate like that. I'll find something where I'll make some hardware. Make a bridge to
you make anything.
right.
All you have to do now is make tuning keys.
Right. That's actually been on. It's I don't do a whole lot of research into these sort of things, but that's been a big one that I've been trying to figure out. Because like relying on other shops to get stuff done. So this is my logo here, and for about 23 years, 24 years, I cut it out by hand for every build,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of them to do. And I met a guy out here that started cutting them out on a water jet, and it saved me so much time. And he can do them in all sorts of sizes, so we were able to put them on the cases and on my amp and stuff like that. And it was really exciting, but like he's really hard to get a hold of sometimes.
Yeah.
And I designed a bunch of hardware, a bunch of bridges and stuff to have him make, but I can't get a hold of him now. So I was looking at how could I tool up to do this. There's smaller and smaller machines coming out. I started thinking like, well, what would it take to make tuners?
Yeah.
And like, I'm familiar with the names of all the parts, involved in a tuner now, but it's still something that I haven't quite wrapped my head around. And
Yeah.
I did just happen to find this tuner company that I had heard of years ago, never used them, forgot about them. There's like 3 companies that do it. One of them, I think, is called Rubner. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Okay.
$1,000 a set of tuners.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Like, I was like, "Oh my god, I hope, I hope I get on track this year financially to drop $1,000 on a set of custom guitar tuners."
Yeah,
Uh,
dude, to be cool.
right? But that opened my eyes and reminded me there's always this sort of like secret menu out there. Uh, I've never seen those guys advertise anywhere. Um, they probably don't have to.
Since you brought that up, I've noticed that too. Like, there's stuff that you never seen, and then like I've gone to the website, and they're like these builders out there, and their stuff. You see like 10 different guitars, and they're all sold out. And
Yep.
I'm talking about guitars like 6 grand a piece, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's 10 of them that are sold out, so they made 60,000 right there.
That market's out there. I was just talking to this archtop maker. I forget where he's out of, but he builds something really similar to a design that I have that I designed it like maybe 10 years ago. And I don't think he's been building that long, but his builds start at 10 grand and he's back ordered a couple years. And I was like, good for you, man. And you return phone calls like, wow.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You brought up Blackmachine. You mentioned them earlier. Like they're booked out for a couple of years, I guess.
I've been out of touch. When I became aware of them, they weren't building anything. They weren't taking orders. I don't even know. I can't remember names or anything like that because it was so far back and it wasn't really my cup of tea. And but I remember thinking because at the time I was doing a lot of ghost building, like this would be a cool label to take over. In that, like how simple it all was and how popular it was. And I never kept up with it after that. I never came across another one after that. And yeah, I'm gonna have to look them up out of curiosity now. But I wonder if it's the same guy or if it's a different shop now.
Yeah, you never know. Because I looked it up. It's been a couple of months ago because I saw something online where someone was selling one of those or a copy they bought from China. One or the other. It was either they bought the copy from China or they were selling their original 2 different articles. I mean, and the copy from China was like $200 or 150, and then the guy that was selling an original one on eBay had it listed for like 16,000 bucks. I
Yep.
was I was like, wow, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. That was possibly the real thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I used to get like I never really cared about gear, and I'd always be like, oh, I wonder why that's cool. And it all just came down to like the dude hardly ever took in orders, and I think he was one of the first builders that I became aware of that would just build a few things, make them available, and let a bidding war start. And I don't even know how he became hip. But I just was so far removed from that scene and only became aware of it from a customer of mine, bringing in a few of them. a few real ones too. And I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. And at the time, basically a super strat based on an Ibanez, a neck that was like really close to a Ibanez Wizard 2 neck, so a little bit wider, super thin, oval shape, and fairly comfortable. And all the work went into the necks.
Oh
The
yeah.
necks were immaculate. They felt really good. Pretty flat fingerboard radius from what I remember. Multi-piece necks. But the interesting thing, and it was kind of a signature thing that I noticed was really consistent, is the machining on all the bodies. You could tell they were cut out on like shapers or
Oh,
just with the router. And he left all of the router marks on the edges.
oh,
And the sand wasn't that great, like, it was bare wood as well, and, some people say, like, "Oh, that's a no-no," and I'll tell you all the time, that's a no-no, but in this case, it was a style choice, and it worked.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it definitely worked. It was the first time I saw that, and, bare wood on swamp ash, um, never seen anything like that, and I was just like, "Wow," 'cause, my tendency when I do bare wood is to polish it out
Yeah,
till it's shiny.
yeah.
And not this dude. And these guitars were meant for somebody, and those guys love them, and they still love them. And I can only hope to be that successful. You know?
And see, that's exactly, man. Like, say, they may not be someone else's style, but there's always a market for something out there, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna like it, man. There's too many people to not like something. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So to kind of bring this back home, where can we go to check out your work and show some love? Are you on the socials? You said you're working on a website, I think. What are your socials?
Right now, Instagram, said guitars. I'll be posting more pictures coming in the next few weeks. Then I have another one. I'm starting up a TikTok one too. And then I think I have, what's the other one? Well, it's not really just for the guitars, but my Pinterest page, like I was saying, I'm gonna start posting on there. And that one is at Rule 7, RULE, the number 7.
When you get the links that you want to share, get them to me. We'll make sure to put them on the website so we can let everyone know where to find you. I know you had a long day at work, and we'll cut this short really soon. But I just remembered something that I was thinking about right before we signed on here, and it was that I had there was two people that I would message with, not regularly, but now and then, like that. Their work just blew me away, and one of them was at the show, and I got to meet him, and we're homies now, and I still like his work, and um, the other one was you, and I didn't know it was you, and it was your picks, man. And you remember? I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah,
And I'd followed you for I don't know how long. It seemed like to me, it seems like, man, I've been following you for a while, and I'd
yeah, that's,
messaged with you, and I never knew it was you, and we were already friends,
I
man.
know that's weird, man. I was like, what the heck? How did that not even? I was like, how did he not know? But yeah, dude, like, the guitar picks are cool too, man. Like, of course, I'm saying it because they're mine, but you know what? I've also got like freaking 100 customers overseas that have bought them. So I'm thinking like, yeah, they must be pretty good. You know what I mean? And then like one of the customers is like a regular. He's bought like 10 of them so far, and then
Wow.
he's got like a couple on hold right now.
That's awesome. I really hope at the show, we had a hard time getting a lot of companies to and builders of all sorts to like commit to the show for all sorts of different reasons. Probably number one because they'd never heard of it,
Yeah,
and they probably or it just went to spam. But like we have Dava Picks, who's a local company and an industry, legend as far as picks go, and doing something totally different. But I think you'll be one of the only other pick makers there, and I really hope you bring your work because it doesn't matter. Even if you're going to a pick show, everyone's doing something different.
yeah, you're
Um,
right.
and even the guys that it seems like they're doing the same thing, you pick them up and it's still apples to oranges, and it's somebody's art. And I really hope to see you bring everything that you do. Everything that you do, you are one of my favorite artists that I've ever met. And I've never told you that, but I'll tell you that right now. Everything that you do, I love it. It's eye candy. It's just like I need more of that.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
no
Of
problem.
course, I've always liked your work. The way I met you is because that's how I know a bunch of different brands of guitars. Because like I've always looked for like some of the underground stuff, like Ibanez, Jackson, and the big ones. You know, me personally, I get tired of like always going to the big ones. You know what I mean? So I was like looking for the underground stuff. That's how I came across you. I was like, man, that freaking 8 string is awesome. It was a blue one, and I messaged you. I was like, well, what about that guitar, dude? You were like, that one's sold. I was like, oh man, and that's how me. Oh, that was years ago, dude.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, we might have to do a build swap or something, man. That'd be really cool.
that would be cool, man. Heck yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll let you get back to the rest of your evening. Thank you for taking the time to do the show. It's always a pleasure shooting the shit with you. And thanks again, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
All right, Perry, you're awesome, dude. You have a good night, man.